Hello and welcome to Across the Line. My name is Beth. I'm here with Ollie, and today we're talking about the Jeddah race. We have already recorded this. We did it in person. It was great, and then it wasn't because the mics weren't working. So we're here again. We're going to talk about it again. I know you love to hear me yap.
Yeah, we sat through an hour, going through everything in quite nice detail, and then now we're gonna have to do it again for another hour, which is gonna be. It's just. So, I think yeah. Jeddah 2024 is probably the most I'm gonna talk about a race ever, considering I've done 1 hour on camera. We're doing another hour on camera, and then also like conversations with other friends in the background and stuff like that. So.
Apart from, I'd imagine Abu Dhabi 2021. I imagine you spoke about that one quite a lot.
Okay, well that one still goes on with me and Alex on non-stop.
Yeah, AV will never top that.
No, he won't. He really won't.
So let's get right into it. We did start last time talking about F2, so let's start there. Go for it.
Yeah, F2. I mean, more FI intervention with looking at the cars, disqualifications. You have, well, unfortunately, after the actual feature race, both Tridents were disqualified. They failed the inspection, sadly. The one that was most impacted was Richard for Short, who won the race. So the race winner was disqualified, meaning Dennis Hauger promoted to the win. So, it was pretty good. I'm surprised. Well, actually, it's a good thing you didn't watch the F2 because, as I said, obviously Richard is Dutch. Yeah, he was Dutch, so he played the Dutch national anthem. So in Saudi Arabia, it was the Dutch national anthem everywhere.
You just can't escape it, can you? I can literally hum it. Like sometimes I just find myself, I'm just sat and I'm just like I just start like singing it. I'm like, what? This isn't good.
No, yeah, you do hear it a lot, and we might hear it more in F2. It depends if Richard's
I think I hear it more than the English national anthem.
Probably.
Probably
at this point. Probably. I mean, you don't hear the British national anthem 24 times a year. Do you? I don't think I do.
I mean, when the football's on, when it's like international football, but.
Oh yeah.
But apart from that. I don't really hear. I mean, I don't really hear the English national anthem much. But not the point.
But no, yeah, definitely not the point. But we've got So Dennis Hauger gets his first win of the season. In his MP Motorsports. Obviously, he's not part of the Red Bull Academy anymore, which is quite unfortunate. But that's how the game plays. Kushmini, brilliant performance. He's managed to get his car all the way up. So he's still a strong contender. It's just, the sort of dice are against him at the moment, I feel like.
Well, yeah, because last race he was disqualified and he didn't get his pole position.
Yep.
So it's not really...
To be disqualified from F2 is more severe than disqualified in F1, in my opinion, because they obviously have the sprint race with the reverse grid. So for the sprint, he was going to start P10, for the race P1, but then he started 22nd for both races.
Oh.
So it is very severe if you get disqualified. But no, the Invicta car, I mean, it's performing well, especially with Bortoletto, the new rookie, in the McLaren Academy driver. He's doing pretty well as well. But if there's three I had to point out, right, to watch for this season, it'd be Zayn Maloney, the boy from Barbados, absolute domination in Bahrain. I want to say Kushmini. And then
if he doesn't get disqualified.
If he doesn't get, yeah, you're right. If he doesn't get disqualified, and then, I want to say Oliver Behrman, but hopefully he won't get pulled out of F2.
Well, yeah, we'll come on to Oliver Behrman, but you were saying Monday, Dennis Hauger.
Yeah, Dennis Hauger as well. Like I think it's Dennis Hauger or Oliver Behrman, one of those two. Yeah, but F2 is actually really interesting this year. The new car has spun all the teams. They're all learning this new design. Some teams are developing better. Some aren't. GP, the Constructors' Championship last year, they're really low down at the moment. yes, it's kind of flipped on its head, which is really exciting.
If you have the opportunity to watch F2, like, if you just stick it on in the background, I 100% recommend it. Like, you're literally watching, like, future F1 champions, you know? And they've all got the same car. It works a bit differently. They've all got the same car.
Yeah.
So it's really about the drivers in F2 and their individual talents. So if you have the opportunity, 100% watch F2. Also, if you have the opportunity, we'll talk about this, F1 Academy. It started this week. They race in Jeddah.
Mm-hmm.
So this year especially, I felt there's been a big push for F1 Academy, which is amazing. Susie Wolf has really been striving to make this a big thing, very inclusive, which we love to see. They've made it available to watch for free on their YouTube accounts, so F1 Academy on YouTube. There's also, they have Instagram. I'm not sure if they have Twitter, X. I'd imagine they do. But they raced in Jeddah. They have 2 races.
Yep.
And Doreen Pin, who is a Mercedes Academy driver, we were talking about this again, all the pictures with her and the Mercedes drivers, it's great, we love to see it. She won the first race and she also won the second race, but she was given a 20-second penalty for taking the checkered flag twice. She explained this to me. Basically, the checkered flag went and she drove another lap, which for me feels like a really stupid penalty, and especially 20 seconds, like...
Yeah, but it's
a bit much.
It's the FIA. I mean, I can't really explain any of their actions.
No,
it's also
to be honest.
But as I said, like I understand, why she might have done it, because obviously her background was endurance racing, where you find yourself in a zone, you just keep going. You go. Even when you think you're finished, you go again. But no, it is a real shame. Although Abby Pulling promoted to the race winner, which I personally prefer Abby Pulling. I think she's quite a talented driver. As Alpine sponsored, and also British.
British. She's really pulling through for Alpine. Like, honestly, like
it's
when Alpine have
it's Abby Pulling and Kush Miney, the ones that are actually bringing fame to Alpine.
They're dragging Alpine.
They're dragging it in the lower divisions. Because I mean, the World Endurance. We've only had the 8 hours of Qatar, so we don't know quite how well Alpine are going to do yet.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be insane. Isn't Schumacher driving for Alpine?
Yep. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's moved over to World Endurance Championship now, which is brilliant for him. It was weird seeing him in Alpine overalls at the car reveal.
It was.
That was weird.
Because then seeing him in the garage in Mercedes Mercedes kit, and then his Instagram was like Alpine kit, and I was like, huh, this is weird.
But no, I mean F1 Academy, is getting pretty. It's very close, I must say, between the fields. Also, it's 16 drivers, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 16 drivers. So a bit less than the F1 paddock, but it's still a very good watch.
100%. They race next in Miami, so that's in May, I believe. So look out for that. Again, all available on F1 Academy's YouTube. Free to watch, which is great because you have to pay for F1.
Yeah.
The World Endurance Challenge is available to watch. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the site, and I don't know if you have to pay. I don't know if you know any more about that. But it is available.
You do have to pay. You do have to pay. I know for Sky, for example, they showcase the first 2 hours of the race and then the last 2 hours.
Okay.
So they don't show because obviously it is 8 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours. They can't showcase it all. Unless you go straight to the championship source, and I know on the website you can pay for a bundle to watch all the races, have their point of views, blah blah blah.
Yes.
Same as what F1 does.
Do you know when the next race for that is? Because I actually don't know, and I'm very interested to know, so I can tune in.
Oh, you want to get into the World Endurance Championship?
I'd quite like to just watch it and give it a go, just to see what it's like, because I've not watched it before. I'm a big fan of Mick Schumacher, so I was just keeping tabs on it because he was in it. But
well, it's not just Mick Schumacher. You've got Jenson Button, you've got Nick De Vries.
Yes. Oh, I love Jenson Button, and we
I
spoke
was going to
about
say
this
you
last
love
time.
Nick de Vries.
Oh my god. Antonio Gina. Oh my god. Gina.
Oh! We went through this last time.
Gia. We did.
We know.
Oh,
We
this
both
is so
know. We both know
embarrassing.
his name, but we can't pronounce it. Giovinazzi.
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that.
If that's wrong.
But no. April 21st. You've got 6 hours of Imola.
Ooh. Okay. Will I have the patience? Probably. For any racing.
Yeah, I mean it might clash with Formula One because obviously it's the Formula Series. I mean it takes up the entire day if you want to include the lower divisions and like the inter shows they do.
It does.
But no, you've got. I mean, there's only I think how many races? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 races in the Endurance Championship. But that doesn't include the crown jewel 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Oh. That race, anyway. Let's talk about Formula One. It's been nice to talk about other things other than Formula One. Like, it's nice to talk about the other divisions. It makes me excited. I don't know why. Let's talk about Formula One. How much of it did you watch this weekend?
Oh, you mean last weekend?
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So none of the practices except for the sort of second half of FP3 and then obviously qualifying the race. Okay.
I watched all of it, but then I had to watch the race delayed because I was working.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, obviously I filled you in on Monday on everything, but just to fill you in again in case you've forgotten. FP1, Alpine was suffering with porpoising, bouncing. Alpine again. I mean,
what a surprise!
It's just not looking good for Alpine, is it?
It's a French shitbox. That's what I'm saying. It runs more like a Peugeot than an Alpine.
I don't know what happened because they were doing all right last season, and suddenly the break. It's just.
I think I mean, you might know who you are if you watch it. But a good buddy of mine, an absolute nerd of F1, was managed to source the reasoning, right? So apparently their side pods actually failed the crash test. So they had to add reinforcements so it could actually pass. And because of that, it's now severely overweight. And it's just a huge... Like, to the point where they're 4/10 slower than they were last year.
That's really bad.
Whereas everyone else has made improvements, they're the only team to go backwards.
Surely, did they change their side pod design from last year? Surely you would just revert it to what you had last season.
I think it was a brand new car for them. The same with majority of the teams where their car just was not working, so they just decided to scrap it and go new.
Also in FP1 we had Stroll going into a wall. Stroll clipping a wall. Either way, it was foreshadowing.
Moron.
And we also had Charles Leclerc saying the track is like Mario Kart because there was.
Because of the bin bags. Yeah, that was. Because wasn't it? It sort of sucked under his car and then got trapped in one of the wheels, so they were just spinning with the tyre. I think I saw a clip of that. Yeah, it kind of got like sucked underneath his car. Thankfully, it didn't actually cause any issues because it is a plastic bag. But no, it was quite funny.
Well, yeah, because Max also said there's he said something about plastic bottles as well. But either way, not very good. So moving on to FP2, there was a delayed start due to a loose drain cover. I feel like we've been here before many times. It's starting to become habitual in Formula 1.
Fourth, yeah, it's third time, fourth if you want to count pre-season testing.
It's a bit. Anyway, then we had Logan Sargent and Lewis Hamilton. There was a bit of a situation on track where Lewis was positioned. I would say Lewis was. Yeah, he was positioned poorly. He was waiting for Sainz to pass, who was behind him, and didn't see Logan. I don't know. And Logan was on a flying lap. He came zooming around the corner, and there was almost trouble. But he went off track and avoided Lewis. He did well to avoid Lewis, but there was some angry comments on the radio after that. We then had some trouble with some of the cars. Perez commented on the bouncing. I feel like the Red Bull drivers always have something to complain about, and then they still get one too.
Well, yeah, I mean, they always strive for
They're still 15 seconds ahead of
perfection. They always strive for perfection.
Yeah,
and
I suppose.
I think I mentioned this, like, I think this year is a year of porpoising. We have porpoising the return. 2022, quite a few cars had porpoising issues, including the Mercedes, where it was just horrific and made the car nearly undrivable for the drivers. 2023 porpoising, they kind of backed out. You didn't really see many teams bouncing up and down like they're on a bouncy castle. And now this year, it's back.
It's back. And we also had George Russell commenting, he commented saying the Mercedes was unstable at high speeds, which for me is a red flag because they're normally going at high speeds, and that's a bit concerning. And McLaren was bottoming. So there was a lot of issue in FP2. Moving on to FP3, we had a special guest. Mr. Oliver Behrman, rookieing. Hello, rookie of the season. Carlos Sainz had appendicitis, which was harrowing news as a Carlos Sainz fan. And then Oliver Behrman was called up, and I was like, wow, this is a roller coaster. Oliver Behrman, youngest Ferrari driver, 18 years old. We established this on Monday. He is 3 months older than me, and you are in fact older than Oliver Behrman.
Okay.
Just to really hammer it home.
Probably just. Yeah, I mean as you mentioned, he's youngest ever Ferrari driver and third youngest driver ever to debut in Formula 1. The only people to beat him is Max Verstappen and Lance Stroll.
Lance Stroll, yeah. Also on that list, I know Lando Norris is on that list.
I believe he's fourth or fifth.
That's just insane. I mean, we did speak a bit in length about how underachieved we felt when Oliver Behrman got in the car.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching Formula 1 and talking about it whilst he is travelling around the world with Formula 1. You still got 3 months to,
3 months to beat him.
Get in a Ferrari?
I'm beat you, Behrman. Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, you actually have to do better. You have to do better than him. So you have to get in a Ferrari and come 6th minimum.
Oh well, I don't think that's gonna happen realistically.
But after karting, I'm not
guys.
sure. I'm not sure if that's possible.
That was my first attempt in my defence. Also in FP3 we have he finished 7th. No, that was the race. I lied. We have Logan Sargent clipped a wall and Jacques Agnew in a wall, dramatically in a wall.
Yep.
Crashed his car. And then it was unable to participate in qualifying.
Yep. The sort of cost of damages have just it cost them about just over 800,000 to replace it. Which,
goodness! Do you know what was damaged? Because it looked like the back wing.
Everything.
The back wheels. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. Because obviously he was going around the corner, lost the rear end. Around Jeddah, you lose the rear end whilst you're going around the corner. Ain't a good sign. He just completely loses it. Goes into a wall. It almost has sort of two contacts. He sort of hits the one wall quite lightly, but that bounces him into another one. That's the big impact. Thankfully, he was all right. But yeah, as I said, it cost him just shy of $1 million to just even get it in the race. Not into quali, into the race.
Oh my goodness! I mean, props to the mechanics and the engineers who managed to fix that up in time for him to race, because that's really impressive.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, we've seen worse, but Zhao was okay. The car, not so much, but it raced. But yeah, that was the big event of the weekend. Apart from Oliver Behrman. Qualifying. My notes start with George Russell getting a black and white flag for crossing at the pit entry.
Naughty. Should have been a 20-place grid penalty, in my opinion. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I've been seeing. This is so relevant, but I've been seeing so many things about Jenson Button. If he ever came back, he has a grid place penalty or something.
Where's Jenson Button coming from?
I don't. Well, we were talking about it earlier, and we were talking about penalties, and it just reminded me of that. So out in Q1, we have our familiar faces. We have a double Alpine with Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly. Jacques Villeneuve didn't race automatically; he started 20th. Bottas was out, and so was Logan Sargent. Again, the famous 5 of Q1.
Yep.
Anyway.
I'll do that after. Fine. I'll do it after.
Yeah, good. And you can prove me right.
Okay.
Q2, Hulkenberg lost power, so it wasn't a good start for Haas. And there was a red flag because of it. And then out in Q2, we had Alex Albon, Kevin Magnussen, Nico Hulkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo, and Oliver Behrman, who came in 11th, but was out by 0.03 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really fault him for that small margin. He did put on a brilliant performance for his first ever quali. Had only an hour in the car, I think. So just over 20 laps of practice. Coming 11th is actually a pretty good performance.
It's a very good performance. I was explaining this to you yesterday, but on Monday, there was a lot of I saw a lot of discourse after. Everyone was sort of like, there was two minds. Either everyone was like praising Ollie, which he deserved, or people were like slandering him to high hell, saying like, oh, he barely got what he did. And I'm like where is this energy with every other driver? Like, there is a lot of energy.
I haven't seen any bad comments or hate against Oliver Behrman. All I've seen is people saying what a brilliant job he's done. So I think if there is haters, it is a small percentage.
They're just jealous.
True, because you had every single team, every single driver congratulating him, posting about him, everything. It was everyone was really
lovely.
And it was great. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's also gotten onto the board of sort of where drivers debuted, finishing ahead of the likes of Verstappen, who DNF'd on his debut, and even Oscar Piastri, and stuff like that.
Oscar Piastri DNF'd on his debut as well.
Yep.
What was I going to say? Well, Sainz was there as well. A day after his surgery, probably against doctor's orders, he rocked up, looking very uncomfortable, probably doped off on so many meds.
Everything.
But he was... I don't want to imagine what he was on. But he strolls into the paddock. Well, I say stroll. He sort of limped, strolled into the paddock, and then came and supported Behrman, which I just think that's great. We love drivers.
Yeah, I mean,
drivers.
As everyone just backed him, and I mean, why not? Is unfortunately it's a rarity now to have young talent into the sport. I mean, you've got sort of the last 2 F2 champions haven't actually gone into F1, right? And even Oscar Piastri had to wait a few years to get into Formula 1. So actually in the last 5
years old.
Yeah, in the last 5 years, Mick Schumacher was the only F2 champion to actually get a direct seat to Formula 1 after his championship. So it's very rare to see young talent in the sport when you have the likes of Fernando Alonso, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, proving
what are you saying?
Age does not matter.
Fernando Alonso's a rookie. I don't know what you're saying. Fernando Alonso's a rookie.
Oh, okay, sure.
So our quali top winners were Checo in 3rd, Leclerc in 2nd, and Max Verstappen, no surprise, taking pole position for the first time in Jeddah. So well done, Max. One of the achievements you haven't yet got.
Well, that's also no fault of his own, because this is only the 3rd Saudi Arabian. No, 3rd? 21, 22, 20. No, it's the 4th. It's the 4th one. Yeah, it's the 4th Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, so it's not his fault entirely.
Either way, he's there now. He's done it. To be fair, it was last year he was only beaten out by his own teammates, so...
And the year before.
It's not that, it's not that big of a deal, Red Bull. So let's get on to the race. What were your highlights of the race?
Checo moving up. That was a good highlight. Seeing Mercedes struggle, that was a really good highlight. Fernando Alonso,
You can't
surprisingly.
tell, there's a lot of tension between Alex and Ollie and Red Bull and Mercedes within the group. There's a lot of tension.
You know why. You know why.
Oh, I know why. It's been made abundantly clear.
Fernando, that was probably my biggest nice surprise. I thought Fernando Alonso to just plummet all the way down, but he qualified P4. He finished P5, so he only lost one position, which put into perspective is actually a good performance. And Oscar Piastri, you realise he was one position away from a podium already.
I know, it makes me so excited. I mean, he was beat out by a Ferrari, so you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
But Piastri, what a good race. He finished 4th, beat his teammate. Norris finished in 8th, so that's a bingo card for me, and that's a bingo card for you. So thank you, Oscar, appreciated. One thing we should talk about, Pierre Gasly retiring within the first lap.
Yeah, the 6th gear in the Alpine was just non-existent. It was not available. They knew this. They put the car on the grid. They thought, what the hell, we might as well. And then retired it in the first lap. So not only is it overweight, they're clearly having some reliability issues on top of being overweight. So it's just getting worse and worse.
The other driver didn't only finish 13th, so there's no points for Alpine.
Nope.
They're finishing consistently low in practice and qualifying. All I'm saying they're in a danger zone, Alpine, and
they're in a real danger zone to stay 10th or 9th this year.
It's not
a real
looking
danger
good.
zone.
We spoke about Piastri and his race and how amazing it was and how much I love Oscar Piastri. Let's talk about his teammate, just for a second. Lando Norris jump-started. George Russell was very quick to snitch on Lando, which makes me laugh a bit.
Yeah, but the Mercedes drivers always just snitch, don't they? They just
they do.
Snitch. Just babies.
Maybe it's a British thing.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's a British thing. It really is, because
it is.
Norris was snitching in Austria. So yeah, it is just a British thing.
It's a British thing. Speaking of British thing, it was the first time since 1968 that 4 Brits were in points.
Yeah.
But moving back to Norris, he did not get penalised for that.
No.
For his jump start.
The jump start, I see why he didn't get penalised, because it sacrificed his race start, really. His race start was the worst on the grid.
Shot himself in the foot.
And so why penalise him when he's already penalised himself? It's the weaving.
That's a good point.
It's the weaving.
Yeah.
I think he should have got a penalty for.
He just got a black and white flag for that.
He just got a black and white flag. It was everything was fine, but it was just that last move from the inside onto the outside, very sudden. That you can sort of see, right, you can class that as weaving. That is quite dangerous, especially if the driver behind is going for a dive bomb. Boom, straight in, contact, done. But no, it was quite a disappointing race, because clearly they were hoping for a late safety car. Same with Hamilton. They were both waiting for a late safety car that never came, which kind of left them to dry.
The Mercedes Hamilton finished in 9th, so an average, maybe less than average race for Hamilton, and Russell finished in 6th. Apart from maybe the incident in practice, for me it was a bit of a quiet race for Mercedes. They just sort of showed up, got the job done, and left.
They had issues. They know their car is terrible on the high speed. You can see the clips where Hamilton is on the gearbox of Norris. They go through the high speeds, and Norris is 3-4 car lengths ahead. So they're really struggling on high speeds.
Which isn't good, considering that high speeds is very important in Formula 1.
Well, I like, because the tracks are quite balanced in terms of what matters more, like high speed or low speed. But if you don't have, if one isn't good, that's half your races where you're not going to be performing that well.
Yeah, I feel like you'd rather have. I mean, you'd rather have good for both of them, but I think you'd rather have sort of an okay at the high speed and an okay at low speed rather than amazing at low speed and pretty pants at high speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, quiet race for Mercedes. I mean, struggling, definitely struggling. You can tell. Upgrades hopefully coming in will fix that for them. Fingers crossed. I want to see. I know you have a vendetta against Mercedes, but they're Brits. And
they're German. Mercedes are German.
No, they're drivers.
You said Mercedes are British.
Okay, fair enough. I meant the drivers. I should have made that more clear. But surely you want to see Hamilton doing something for Mercedes this year. Surely.
No.
You don't at all?
No. I want to see him do stuff for Ferrari, sure, but I don't want him to do stuff for Mercedes.
Okay.
Listen, right, there is a reverse fade haircut on the line for me, right? I do not want them to do well.
See, Frank, if he loses, he'll rock it, because every hairstyle he ever gets looks fine on him.
I mean, yeah, just they're in the sort of backgrounds, they're me and two other friends, including AV on the project, have a sort of smaller a larger constructors bet going on in the background with larger, quite harsh punishments. And this year we're getting a reverse fade haircut to whoever comes last.
Last year the loser had to dye the hair the colour of the winners, so Frank, as a Ferrari fan, had to dye his hair blue. And personally, it looked great. I think he suited it.
Yeah, no, we were literally in the group chat a few days before saying, right, what are we doing? What is the punishment? Eyebrows shaved off? What are we doing? And then he suggested a shit haircut. We were saying, right, but you look good with every single haircut. You generally do. It is really annoying.
Alex is getting a bit nervous.
He has the most to lose as well, out of us two.
Absolutely does.
I think he'll probably look the weirdest with it as well.
Either way, I'm excited to see the outcome.
Yeah, so I don't want Mercedes to do well.
No, I mean, I guess not, but like, I do.
Currently, they're on track to be fourth, you know? Mercedes.
Yeah.
Mercedes, possibly fourth
nice.
This year. I'm buzzing.
We spoke about Alonso. He did well, finished fifth. His teammate, however...
Shit!
In a wall.
Terrible!
DNF'd. I can't remember how far through it was. Not that far. I want to say like
no,
that 20.
9.
That could be absolute... Was it? It was
Yeah,
that soon?
It was that soon.
Oh my goodness. Stroll.
Just get him out of the car.
No point.
Get him out of the car. Boot him, right? I mean, it's like Lawrence Stroll, his dad, his making all these comments, you know, we want to challenge for the constructors. Fair enough, every single team does. You were making good progress to do that. You probably would have finished fourth this last year if your son wasn't such a shit driver. Like, he's holding
very strong opinions on Lance Stroll. He makes it very clear.
I like Aston Martin. I really like Aston Martin, right? You know, Vettel drove for them, Alonso drove for them. They're a British team. I really like them, but they're just being held back so much, so much. Like they have half their manpower.
I will pose this question to you. If not Lance Stroll, who? And don't just say anyone. Give me an answer.
Well, to be fair, generally anyone. But if I had my choice, I'd get Lawson. To be honest, he has proven he can do results in that AlphaTauri. You know, at the time, 8th fastest, scoring points, knocking out Max Verstappen out into Q2 and qualifying. You know, he's there, right? He's good. And then you've got the experience, well, the more than experience, the absolute legacy of Fernando Alonso beside him. Give him a few pointers. You pair the ultimate youth with the ultimate, with the ultimate experience, with a decent car, you could do well. But Stroll has neither good experience nor good youth or good pace.
What's Stroll's contract looking like? Do you know?
there's always just a question mark next to it, because obviously his dad owns the team. His dad controls who's hired, who's fired.
This is a genuine question. Does he control or does he have major input?
I'd say major.
Is it his final decision?
Yeah, I'd say he has enough influence over the team that it is his decision.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just get someone new in it. Get someone new.
We'll move on. Kick Sauber Stake F1 team. I said this before, obviously in the corrupted files that we spoke about last time. For a car that's so reminiscent of the RB19, to see them, to be fair, Zhou's car was kind of totaled. To see them in 18th and 17th, however, disappointing. But we did say that the redesign wasn't going to do much for them.
No, and go back to what, obviously for show it makes sense they didn't do well. Well, it's kind of the opposite. You kind of expected a bit more from him because it was a brand new car. The components were new. It was a fresh car.
I hoped to see more from them. That's what it was. I wanted them to do well. Yeah,
but as I said, it's almost like the little sister of the RB19, and it just doesn't work because everyone has seen pretty much every inch of that car from last year. So not only do they know how to copy that design, they know how to improve that design. That's why Red Bull have done this really extreme change in plans. So, you can't copy the best you can't copy the best car from last year. You need to improve on the best car from last year.
Yeah, I guess it's just, I don't know. It's a bit disappointing. Well, it is disappointing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how Bottas must feel, like going from a Mercedes car to, I was gonna say possibly the worst car in the grid. Alpine's beating them, but
well, this is his third year with that team, isn't it now? So I think he's kind of used to playing for the backfield.
Used to it, probably, yeah. Because a couple more teams we need to talk about. Let's talk about Williams briefly again. I mean, neither of them are in the points. Alex was 11th. Sargent was 14th, so there's a bit of an improvement from Sargent, which is great.
Yeah.
But again, quiet race. Still what he did.
I mean,
one of their better performances as a team.
Points this year, I think, are going to be very difficult to acquire for the lower five, right? So even though it's not 4 points, being 11th, being 12th can push your team up because Alpine are 10th. From Bahrain to Saudi, Racing Bulls dropped 3 different positions, and imagine how much that costs in prize money, even though there's not a single point. It's so. Fighting in the back, if anything, is a bit more important for the smaller teams who are trying to survive, and they need as much money as they can get. Especially for Williams, who have they've said they've got these big plans to improve on the car, that they're gonna slowly make their way back up to the top. They need constant funding, and they need a gradual increase in funds to keep that increase going.
Well, yeah, it's just, I mean, this is one of their better races. I mean, Sargent in 14th and Alex in 11th. Like you said, even though there's no points, they did well with the Williams. It's not a bad race for them, just not in the points, which is obviously the end goal. But for a team, a lower league team that did well, Haas Nico Hülkenberg got the point, but I think the true hero of Haas this weekend was Kevin Magnussen.
Oh, of course. If Magnussen wasn't, if Magnussen didn't do what he did, Hülkenberg wouldn't be anywhere near the points. Hülkenberg was in a sticky situation, which thankfully his guardian angel, Kevin Magnussen, came to save him.
In case you weren't watching, Kevin Magnussen received 2 10-second penalties. One for a collision with Alex Albon and one for leaving the track and getting an advantage. He then, even though his race was obviously in the doghouse, he held up the back of the grid so that Hulkenberg had a chance to pit and come out in the 10th and get that point. So, hero that he is.
Yeah,
Kevin
I mean,
Magnussen.
if you're going to do it on a track, do it on Jeddah or Monaco, right? Because Sector 1, I mean, you could listen to his engine and he's just lifting. And he's just coasting through the corners, not really putting any throttle on. And then he's losing about a second and a half to the people in front. And then that's a second and a half for Hulkenberg. And, so it was really smart tactics. And also, I got to give to the Haas pit crew, who did compared to what they used their average, that it was a quick pit stop for them. That put Hulkenberg in front.
Do you think now with the new team principal, and do you think this is going to be a new era for Haas, or do you just think it's going to be same old Haas?
Well,
Or is it sort of too early to tell?
It's too early to tell because I think one of Haas's fundamental issues were Gene Haas, and his lack of funding. He expected results but didn't fund the team. I don't know whether he sees that. He's put a bit more money in this year, and it's too soon to tell. Because I think majority of the other teams would see the same plan and do the same actions that Haas did. I don't think there was anything like special about Haas. Kind of a make the best out of a bad situation.
So was this a one-off then? Was this just a lucky race for them?
I think it was a one-off, especially when Hulkenberg is going for... Well, originally it seemed he was going for almost a sort of undercut, which then they turned into an overcut.
Yes, they did.
And I think it was just sort of right timing. And I think if Magnussen didn't get that second 10-second penalty, they wouldn't have done it.
Okay. No, yeah. I can back that. I think it was just great showmanship and great tactics from Magnussen. Yeah. It was a very good show from Kevin Magnussen.
Yes.
Just briefly, Perez got a 5-second penalty for an unsafe release. Not really much else to say about that. Obviously, he finished second. So
he finished because he was about 12 seconds ahead of Leclerc, so he could get another one if he wanted to.
There are two teams we have left to really speak about. Opposite ends of the spectrum. First of all, Racing Bulls, down in 15th and 16th for a team that we both had so much. We were very optimistic about. They are yet to prove us right. Again, I said this on the other recording, but dynamic between the two of them, both of them vying for that Red Bull seat. It feels very tense at Racing Bulls right now.
I mean, Red Bull have always made clear that team is for people who want to get into the Red Bull, and they needed to prove themselves in that seat in order to get to the Red Bull. So it's not like Ferrari teammates or even the Stake Sauber teammates, where obviously you want to beat them, but you just want to beat them to say you're better than your teammate. But for these guys, it's I need to prove to Christian Horner. I need to, there's something much bigger at stake for those two drivers specifically, and also you can say, you can say for the Red Bull drivers, because if they're not performing, they could do a swap, So.
Well, this time last year, Perez was doing well this time last year, but soon enough he was starting to decline, and eyebrows were raised. So. It's the best interest. I think Max is safe.
It was Monaco last year was his sort of start of decline. He had good form until then, and he's on good form now. So whether or not that lasts longer than Monaco.
For your sake, you want him to do well. For my sake, either way, I'm not really bothered either way. Obviously, I want Ferrari and McLaren to do well. If Perez loses his seat, it's just what happens, isn't it? Obviously, a different story if Charles Leclerc loses a seat. Anyway.
Or Carlos Sainz.
Oh wait. Charles Leclerc. Sorry. Speaking of Charles Leclerc, P3 podium, which means Ferrari are being consistent. Things change.
consistent
Knock on wood, actually. Knock on wood. Very much knock on wood. Obviously, Charles did very well, P3. But let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Oliver Behrman finished 7th, above a 7-time world champion, and is now 10th in the drivers' standings.
Yeah, well, as you said, he's 10th in the driver's standings. Came back and started 11th, as you said. Spent a few laps trying to find his feet, just assessing where they actually were, whether they could push a bit more, and that was a smart way to go with a debut. But no, phenomenal drive, and as I said, he was actually catching Russell towards the end, but then Ferrari thought it was a better decision to pace himself and make sure he was able to go faster than the soft runners behind him for a bit longer. I think he had more. He had a bit more. But he didn't want to risk it.
I think Oliver Behrman will be in a seat soon enough, but we've said this about Night of Reese. He got in a seat and look what happened, and also then look at the likes of Liam Lawson. Like, he did amazing last season, and yet he's nowhere to be seen this season. It's just
you don't want to put an age cap right on the sport, but looking back, it is very unfortunate how much wasted talent there's been. As I said, with Hulkenberg and Magnussen, Stroll, definitely, and the
thing is,
we're seeing a lot. Yeah, and we're seeing a lot more talent go to Super Formula now, especially Super Formula, with Teo Porcher, Lawson, Awasa. They've all gone over now.
It's a very, very closed off sport. There's 20 places in all of the world. There are only 20 people who can be able to get a place, and I feel like it is. This is the first season where everyone from the last race last season was in the first race of the first season. Like, it just people feel very safe. I feel like people feel safe with certain people, and it's like maybe they should let them go, but they won't.
I think last year into this year, people felt safe, as you said. This year, I think it's the complete opposite.
Already, the tide has already turned.
So, I'm hoping with half the grid's contracts expiring, some retire. I like the majority of the people on the grid, right? But then I also want to keep seeing new talent.
Always want to keep seeing, and it's really hard seeing your favourite drivers go. Like, it's really difficult. Like, obviously when Vettel left last year, that was just disastrous. And I feel like it's coming up to a time where perhaps we see the likes of people like Alonso, Hamilton, Ricciardo, potentially Bottas. They're sort of reaching the end of their career, and it's hard to let these people go, but at the same time there's amazing new talents that you want to see in a car.
Yeah. That's the way it is. They won't necessarily leave the sport entirely. They come back as something else.
Yeah, let's look at Alonso as an example.
Yeah, they can come back as drivers. They can, stay with a team and work with the team behind the scenes. They can join. Well, we've seen how many ex-drivers are on Sky now. Yeah. So.
It's happened before. Like, Niki Lauda, he retired and then he came back and then he retired and then he went to work with Mercedes. So, it happens. I feel like these drivers, they can't give it up, can they? No. And they hold on. They hold on with everything. And it's just, I think it's coming to an end of an era, and I feel like 2026. Yeah. Anyway. I have no other points. Do you?
Yeah, what?
Do you have any other points to make about?
Oh no, not about the race specifically. The only thing is the sort of competition between us.
Yes.
The amazing F1 bingo.
If Alex could put our cards up on screen, that'd be great. I got 2 ticks off this race. I got Oscar Piastri outperforming Lando, and I got the replacement. Thank you, Oliver Behrman. Brilliant. Yep. Both of us agreed that we didn't expect it to be this early on, but no. Doesn't matter. We got the points.
Yeah,
And
and
then
I'm
can
sitting
we-
at 4. I'm sitting at 4 now. With a reserve steps in. Again, I didn't expect that. I got Piastri outqualifies Lando. Again, I thought that was going to be maybe, the first third of the season, not the
I
second
thought
race.
it was going to happen, just not the second race.
Yeah. Haas points. I generally thought Haas were going to go pointless this year, because they've been at a decline. So I thought they were just going to go pointless.
You thought wrong.
And then someone gets sacked. The grand reaping, I like to call it, in Alpine, that happened after Bahrain.
Technically, I possibly could have got that off, but I didn't count it. So, no, I'm not doing this half-assed. I'm doing this properly.
I didn't do it half-assed.
No, I didn't mean that. I just meant myself. I'm not gonna take it.
Oh,
it,
yeah. We went through ours and sort of just clarified. Like, I have a team principal on the radio, but that's during the race if the driver's getting mouthy,
It has to be during the race.
Yeah. But yeah, so far 2 points ahead. I'm liking this.
Final other it's not really a competition. So my predictions again proved closer. I guessed Russell, but it is what it is. I got Max and Checo. You guessed Checo to win. Sorry, didn't happen.
But he was close. He was close to Verstappen.
However, did you guess Charles? You did.
No, I guessed Sainz, but I just didn't expect him to get hospitalised.
Yeah.
Because I believed in his Vinal arc, but it got paused.
So you got our teams right, just in the wrong position, and I got more of the right position. So we did make our predictions. So I'm not going to change mine because I'm always here for a bit of drama.
No,
for Australia in 2 weeks.
Well, next week.
I want to say. Okay, I forget it's the start of a new week. It's not this weekend. It's next weekend. I guessed Max, Checo, and Hamilton, and you guessed.
Same two. Charles Leclerc. Copy and paste podium.
Copy and paste podium. So that is everything that I have.
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay. So thank you everyone for listening, for watching. We will be back again after Australia, after Melbourne. A very early race for us, 4 a.m. I might have to work that day, I think.
Oh.
So, yeah, not looking forward to that. But I will be waking up, probably fall asleep halfway through. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. But if it's anything like last year's Australian Grand Prix, we're in for a good one.
Oh, that was shambles.
But take care, everyone, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Bye.